Warning! The Stone Age Gamer podcast includes a lot of bad language. Cover your motherfucking ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer podcast. I'm Chris Randazzo and joining me tonight is Crystal Energy Bucket, Dan Ryan.
Crystal Energy Bucket. I love it.
I feel like I squeaked when I said good evening.
You did. I was just going to let it go.
Oh, I got like a bunch of gunk in my throat, and I should have cleared my throat before recording. Anyway, it's time for the February 10, 20, 30, 40, where we talk about notable video game releases from decades past. How did the Valentine's month... I was like, what the hell did I write about Valentine's Day? How did Valentine's month fare that 10, 20, 30, and 40 years ago? Don't trust that naughty Robotnik, because the Stone Age Gamer podcast starts now. I love Sonic 3, but its plot is fucking ridiculous. Hi, everyone. This is episode 503. It's the week of March 1st, 2024. And Dan, how the bloody heck are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good, Chris. I'm pretty good. So I'm going to start with, though, this is a heck of a way to start a podcast, because I don't want to forget to tell my Billy Joel story. Okay. I said to remind this, so I don't know, like nobody else cares, but I'm going to say it. Have you listened to the new song yet?
No.
Dear God, Chris, that really does not help with the impact of this story. Okay.
I say pretend I did.
Okay. So Billy Joel's new song is called Turn the Lights Back On. And the song is about it's about him waiting for all of this time to come back and put out new music, but it's also about like relationships and parenthood and all of these things, and it's got in such a beautifully Billy Joel kind of way. It has such a simple way of getting that message across, right? Where it's, did I wait too long to turn the lights back on? Which is such a lovely way of putting that, of did I wait to, like, do people care still that I'm putting out new music? Have I been a good enough father to my children because I've been on tour my entire life? Is it too late for me to be dad again, right? Like, there's all of these very, very strong emotions that are going on in this song. It's a beautiful piano melody. He's one of the best piano players that there has literally ever been. The guy is incredibly talented, and I think he has a wonderful voice, especially now that it's a little older and a little gruffer, right? So Saturday last week, I'm sitting down in the Jose Canseco Executive Annex, and I'm flitting around. I'm cleaning up the office because it's just, it was a little dirtier than I would like. It was just some stuff that I had like a cereal bowl that I hadn't taken upstairs yet, that kind of thing. And I'm flitting around on YouTube, and the only thing that I had seen so far was that there was a music video that was just like a lyric video, right? And I was like, okay, fine. And as I'm flitting around, I see that there is an official music video for Turn the Lights Back On. I'm like, all right, sweet. Let me check this out. So I click on it, and it starts with Billy at the piano. And the shot moves in kind of close on his face, and then it goes down to his hands as he's playing the opening notes of the song, and the melody starts, and then the camera starts panning up, and there is a cigarette and an ashtray on the top of the piano. And this is like all one, it's not one continuous shot, but it is one continuous shot. Because when it pans back up to Billy's face, he has been de-aged and looks as he did when he put his first couple of records out. He looks like the Piano Man Billy Joel, right? And it's wonderfully done. It looks as good as young Tony Stark in whatever, if that was Iron Man 3 or Avengers, whatever one that was, Civil War. It looks that good where you're like, oh my God. And the voice is matched up perfectly. And even to the point where where his reflection in the top of the piano is matching young Billy Joel. And as it goes throughout the song, every time it gets to the chorus, there's another camera pan like that, and it changes into a different era of Billy Joel's career. So you start with Piano Man, you get to the Uptown Girl phase, you get to the We Didn't Start the Fire phase with the sunglasses and the whole thing, and it's all interspersed with these like home movies and pictures of him with his kids and all this stuff. It's just really, really beautiful and goes along with the sentiment of the song quite well. And I am sitting here in this office bawling my face off. I am crying like I have skinned my knee and I am in pain. The tears are streaming down my face. It has just hit me in such a way that I can't, and I don't even know why. I'm sitting here, I'm like, maybe I'm feeling particularly fragile right now, and I didn't even know that I did. I didn't even know that I felt that way. But I am fucking Julia Roberts ugly crying down here in the office, okay? So, a couple hours later, Tiff gets home from work. And I'm like, babe, listen to this shit that happened to me today. I have to show you this video, right? And she does not love Billy Joel the way that I do, because she's not from New Jersey. So I show her the video, and she gets a little misty-eyed. But not, and I am on the couch now, again, just crying, just tears streaming down my face. And she looks over at me and she goes, I know why this is happening, and you're not going to like it. And I was like, oh my God, what does that mean? Earlier in the week, Chris, it was Valentine's Day, right? And because we're basic bitches, our anniversary is on Valentine's Day. And I did a very, very nice thing. I surprised her with a renewal of our vows downtown in the town where we live on the main street. There's this beautiful heart sculpture. We went down there. There was this little ceremony, renewed our vows. It was very, very cool. And when we got home, as one would imagine, we made love, Chris. It's what we did. The beast with two backs. We had sex, okay?
Thanks for piecing that together for me.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were picking up what I was putting down. Now, here's where this is way too much information, and if you would like to skip past, you may. But Chris has to hear it, so I think the rest of you should too. So Tiff had a hysterectomy a number of years ago. That is not news. We have talked about that on the show. Trying to have more kids almost killed her. She had to have a hysterectomy very, very early. That was very unfortunate. Because of that, she has to be on estrogen because she doesn't have the lady bits to make it. So she has to get it synthetically. And one of the new ways that they do that, and gentlemen, if your wives have not gone through a hysterectomy yet, or they haven't hit that age where they need synthetic hormone, they will, so you have this to look forward to as well. It's really more of a PSA that I'm giving here. One of the ways that they do this is through a vaginal ring. And this is a ring that is inserted, and it releases every day a small dose of estrogen. And Tiff's theory is that because it was early enough in the month, I must have bumped into the ring enough times to get some on me, and that is what has made me so emotional the last week.
I'm not sure what you want me to say here.
I don't know where you go with that information. But I thought I have to share this. I have to share the fact that I somehow, inadvertently, had overdosed a little bit on estrogen. Not even overdosed. Had just gotten more than I normally have in my system, and it instantly turned me into a fragile crying baby. because there was a nice song on the fucking television. It's like, I gotta let everybody else know. I don't know if they want to know, but now they do.
Well, all right. I don't know what to do with that information.
No, I know you don't.
Congratulations.
But this is the kind of show we have, Chris.
It is indeed.
This is what keeps the listeners coming back.
This is what keeps the lights on.
Oh, man. You really should listen to the song. It's really, really good. It's really good.
I'm sure I will at some point. I don't really have much connection at all to Billy Joel, which I know is like sacrilege.
Blasphemy
in New Jersey. But
in New Jersey. It is an absurd part of your character.
One of many.
No, it might be the most absurd.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, no, like, you have lived in New Jersey your whole life. Your whole life.
I lived in New York.
Billy Joel, you're like, yeah, that's New Jersey adjacent. Let's be honest.
It's North Jersey.
Yeah, it really is. But like, because I get, like, Bon Jovi is from New Jersey, but nobody's like, oh, you don't like Bon Jovi? Pfft, get the fuck out of here. Like, that's not a thing. It's kind of that way with Bruce Springsteen, but he is outwardly political. There are people that don't like him because of his views and that sort of thing. Like, I get it. Bruce Springsteen's not for everybody. But Billy Joel?
I had an ex-girlfriend who, what was it? She hated Billy Joel because of some sort of negative memory attached to the song In the Middle of the Night. She fucking hated that song. Ruined Billy Joel for her forever. I don't know what it was.
The River of Dreams song? In the middle of the night.
Yeah, that one.
I go walking in my sleep. Yeah, that song sucks. That album is terrible. It's the last thing he put out. It's not great. Everything before that is fucking brilliant, though.
I will take your word for it.
You really... Pressure? Oh, it's so good. Anyway, so that's some shit you know about me now.
Good times. Well, I had to go back to the dentist this week.
Oh no! Good or bad?
I'm not thrilled by it.
Oh, okay. I have no teeth left, so
the dentist is an hour away. Like couldn't just go to my regular dentist. Like, so a small sharp bone poked through my gums.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, like I kind of felt it coming, and I was like, all right, well, maybe it'll just continue to heal over this. And then no, it just it just poked right through the gums and was bleeding. I was like, okay, this sucks and it hurts a lot. So I'll call my dentist. And they're like, yeah, we're not going anywhere near that. You got to go back. You got to go back to the surgeon. That's a surgeon thing right there.
That is a fuck you kind of thing. Go there.
My dentist is right up the street. The dental surgeon is a fucking hour away.
Naturally.
So I was like, all right, make an appointment, drive out to the dental surgeon, and here we go. So I went out there, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna take a look at it. I open up my mouth, and he was like, yeah, this is just a thing that happens. It might even happen again. And then he fixed it with no warning. He just grabbed the tools and just got to fucking work, and it hurt like a motherfucker. He
sucks.
Snapped off the little bit that was sticking out there. I just went in with that little, the little hook thingy that's on the end of a stick. He just starts yanking on my gums. Hurts like a bitch. Mouth is filling up with blood and spit. He's just like,
which is like, super hot.
And then he walks away for a second. He go like, put something down, and I was like, oh, well, that fucking hurt. And he was just like, yeah, I'm almost done. And then he called like one of the nurses, like, can you get me a bone file? I'm like, what the fuck? And he just gets right back in there. More just pain and blood. And then he's like, all done. I'm like, what the fuck was that? He's like,
can you get me a sharp knife?
Like, it hurts right now to talk because like my tongue from talking rubs up against that spot. like my gums all around that area where the tooth was pulled are all fucking sore because he was yanking at him with that sharp thing. So they just got cuts all over him.
The fucking worst.
Apparently, like, sometimes when you do this, your body just has a big tug of war with itself where it's like, your gums are like, okay, I'm going to heal over. And then your bones are like, there should be a fucking tooth here. And
we're going to put something there.
Your jawbone's just going to start growing pointy shit. And I'm hoping that it doesn't happen again because I don't want to fucking go through that again. But even if I did, what would have made it okay is if he just, like, gave me a second. He was like, I'm just going to take care of this. It's going to hurt a lot, but it's only going to take a minute. And I'd be like, all right, let's do it. I would be okay.
It's going to suck real bad, but fucking bear down, rub some dirt on it. We'll be okay.
We're not going Novocaine or anything crazy like that. We're just going to handle our shit and move on with our day.
We're going to put on our big boy pants and we're going to be men about it, Chris.
Give me a heads up. That's it. Instead of I thought he was just going in there to look, and he just went right to fucking work, and it hurt
sucks, man.
Like a bitch. So
well, like the worst part about that shit too is that, like, whenever something happens in your mouth, you cannot help but find it with your tongue. All the 100%. Fucking time, all day. You're just like, what is that? I'm going to keep rubbing it. I know it's the same thing, but I'm going to I'm just going to keep fucking with it the whole time.
I can't not. It's in my mouth.
No,
I'm constantly aware of it.
It's there all the time. It has not assimilated itself into your overall being so that, like, it's not like your fingernails. You don't feel your fucking fingernails growing, But, like, it's mouth pain is among the worst things we have ever endured as a human species.
That
individually, not like as a group. Obviously, like, there's way worse shit as a group of people, but, like, individually, as far as, like, personal pain goes, like, your back, fucking stupid, a horrible design, just a garbage design from start to finish, and your mouth. Like, you didn't need to put nerves in there. You didn't. I know when shit's hot. I got an app on my phone that tells me my coffee's 135 degrees. Perfect. If it's any hotter than that, I'm not drinking it.
Oh. Man.
Yeah, no, that sucks, man. That sucks. That's way less fun than getting a little bit too much estrogen on your dick. That's way less of a fun story, Chris.
Yeah, sorry.
You and your bloody mouth. Oh, man. So I was going to say earlier, I was like, I'm going to save it for the show. I think I mentioned last week that I was like, man, I think, and if I didn't mention it, my kids and I were having a conversation of, like, we want to get a game for the family to play. Right? And because my kids are going to be 15 this year, which is absurd, but, they don't want to play. I mean, they really liked last year we played through Shredder's Revenge, and that was super fun. And beat 'em ups are fine, like Castle Crashers and that sort of thing. But they really wanted to play something not that, right? Something a little bit more mature, a little bit more adult, if you were. So I was like, I've been hearing nothing but good shit about Helldivers 2. It's Starship Troopers. It looks fucking great. The trailer looks great. It looks like it really understands the type of game it's trying to be, like, with its humor and all of that stuff. It's only $40. It's a perfect game for us to play as a family. I'm gonna go pick it up. I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna grab it. Let me just check though. Because wouldn't you know, I'm going to go to the store, we'll buy this game, and it's not going to have local multiplayer. And it does not have local multiplayer. It is a 4-person squad-based shooter that does not offer the option for couch co-op. And I was
just like Splatoon. What the fuck's up with that?
Fucking bummed. And, like, so the Splatoon one is probably the same reason that the Helldivers team gave. They said the Helldivers team said they're not necessarily saying no forever on that. What they are saying is that in their internal testing early on in the game's development, they found that in order for the game to deliver an experience to the player that they were satisfied with, the PlayStation 5 was simply not powerful enough to do that on 4 different sections of a screen at the same time. And they said, that's what we think right now. Maybe it is, and we haven't figured out how to do it yet. We're not saying no. If we can figure it out and make it playable in a way, you know, like with all the effects and all the stuff that's going on, maybe we'll have to reduce some of that or whatever. You know, we'll certainly look at it in the future. But for right now, and I just, like, I mean, I suppose I get it, and maybe that's the thing with Splatoon as well. Like, if you split that screen, and you're ultimately, I suppose, running the game twice, right? Like, is that the argument there? Am I understanding that correctly? That's what they're trying to say? Like, you're running the game, essentially you're running the game twice at the same time.
I don't know.
And the Switch can't handle that. But it can handle Mario Kart with all of the nonsense going on in Mario Kart just fine.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure when you're doing it on a single system like that, you're really just presenting the action. Like, you're having everybody play at the same time, but all you're doing is just presenting the action from 4 different camera angles. Like, you've got the same thing that's happening. Well, you're just processing one set of gameplay, but then you're showing it from different camera angles. I know how the Virtual Boy worked it had to process the game twice for each lens, because it had to process a different image to make the stereoscopic 3D happen.
Yeah.
But that's not how split screen works. I mean, the fucking Super Nintendo did split screen.
Yeah, like I found that to be a weird answer.
That doesn't sound okay to me.
Because, I mean, like, I feel so like many games. Yeah,
Splatoon is Nintendo being Nintendo. That's what that is. Splatoon is
okay.
Splatoon is 100% like, no, this is an online game. Okay, well, you know, it can be both. Fuck you.
Stuff can be 2 things. No, it can't. We're Nintendo.
I've never heard of this Helldivers game before. I've never fucking heard of it before this week. And like, you just talked about
everywhere.
It, and a bunch of folks were talking about it online angrily. Like, I think everyone's angry at this game. Like, is that what's going on?
I've only seen positive things. Like,
I have
one thing that really
seen negative things about it.
Really? The one thing that really sold me on it, Dean mentioned something about it. He texted me. And he was like, dude, you got to this game is for you. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it fucking looks that way. But then I saw some random dude on Shitter, was like, you motherfuckers were all up in arms about Pow World. You were like, oh, they just stole Pokemon. They stole Pokemon in Minecraft and gave them guns, and you guys were fucking losing your minds, blah, blah, whatever. And then Helldivers 2 comes out, and nobody gives a fuck that it's just Starship Troopers. Like, nobody says shit because this game is actually fun, and you're angry about Pow World. And I was like, all right, like, I get it. Starship Troopers. It's a great fucking movie. I'm in. Shooting big bugs, and like, I showed the kids the trailer, and we're like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Tiff was like, I don't really want to do it, but I was like, fuck you, you're gonna anyway, because there's 4 of us, we're just gonna play that way. She was like, yeah, all right, I guess so. It's only $40. But yeah, I've seen nothing but positive reviews for this. My negative thing is that it doesn't have fucking local multiplayer, man. Like, and that's just not a thing that I've cared about for so long, because my kids have not wanted to play the same games that I've wanted to play, you know, and things like a beat 'em up are obviously going to have local multiplayer. It would be absurd if they released Shredder's Revenge and they were like, nope, multiplayer's online only. Well, then, like, nobody's buying it. you know? But looking at a game like this, it's a 4-person squad-based shooter. Why can I connect? Why just sell me a console that I can only connect one controller to then? Yeah, like at that point, you know, why can I connect? Can I connect up to like 5, 6 controllers if nothing's going to let me? It's weird. It's a weird thing. I'm disappointed. Because I would be too. I'm constantly disappointed that there is no local multiplayer in Splatoon, and I don't know. I feel like local multiplayer can sometimes be overlooked, and I think it's an important thing. Yeah, like I was looking at a list of like what are the couch co-op games, like really, you know, PlayStation.com. Here are the amazing multiplayer games for couch co-op. All right, are you ready for this? Yeah. It Takes Two, which looks like a fun game. That's fine. Fortnite, EA Sports FIFA 23, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, NBA 2K23, Gran Turismo 7, Sackboy, Dirt 5, The Show, like it's sports games, and then like a couple other things. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, like, okay. Overcooked, fine, but like that's not what they want, you know? Madden 23, WRC 10, FIA World Rally Championship. Like, it's all sports shit, you know? That's a bummer. Or Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And I don't want to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare because that's too fucking real. I want to go shoot a bunch of big bugs with my family. And like, they're not interested in Diablo or Baldur's Gate. Yeah? I don't know. It was weird. It's a weird thing. That's some bullshit. It is, right? Like, I feel like it's some bullshit. Because then I'm looking around, I'm like, all right, well, that new Monster Hunter game is coming out. Like, if that has local multiplayer, then all right, we'll go do, you know, that'll be fine. But like, what sucks about it is that we couldn't even do it to where 2 of us could play. You know, because we have, well, or 3 of us. There's a PlayStation 5 in the house, a PS4 Pro, and a PlayStation 4. Okay? So we could have 3 people playing if we all bought a copy of the game. So for the 3 of us to play, we would have to hook it up on 3 different systems, each getting a progressively shittier experience, while paying $120 to do so. That's not a thing we're going to do. So, you know, kind of a bummer. Games. Nah.
Yeah, that just doesn't sound fun.
That was going to be the game that I was going to talk about this week. And instead, we've just continued to play through Uncharted. You know, just kind of here and there. We really haven't had a ton of time this week. Like I was telling you earlier, we had to take one of the puppies, emergency to the vet. These dogs really do. The crazy thing is that, you know, we built the whelping box for them, and it's like, okay, that was fine for the first couple of weeks, but they're 11 weeks old now. They can't be in a cage all day. They just can't. That's not fair to them. It's not good for their development. All of those things. So, okay, the option then, though, is to unleash 6 30-pound, 11-week-old puppies into my home. You know, we can go outside and romp for a little bit, but it's been raining so much, and my backyard is torn to shit so badly from all the other dogs that there's no grass back there. It's all just mud and dirt. So they just bring all that back into the house, and then they're trying to jump up on the couch, and a couple of them have figured out stairs, but not all of them have figured out stairs. So it's just like, God damn it. There's no time for gaming. We can't watch TV. We can't watch a movie. You know, unless it's like real late at night and we've put the puppies to bed and we do it real quietly. We watch the Marvels. last week, but it was real quiet so that we didn't disturb the puppies. Like, shh. After like 10:30 in my house, shh. Everybody shut the fuck up.
It's like that movie.
Don't make a lot of noise. A quiet place. It really is. That's what my fucking life is like after 10:30. My life turns into a quiet place. It's the fucking from like the rest of the day is what I imagine that Matt Damon vehicle. We bought a zoo. I imagine that's what my life is like. I haven't seen that movie, but I imagine it's very similar to that. And then at 10:30, it turns into like a combination of The Quiet Place and The Bird Box. I don't know why we're blindfolded, but we are.
The blindfolds to keep it interesting.
Keep it sexy. The Marvels was great, by the way. In case anybody still hasn't seen it.
Yeah, it was great.
That movie's fucking dope. And I figured out why people didn't like it. I think I've got it figured out now, Chris. It's the same reason people didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. The last couple of Marvel things, apart from Secret Invasion, which was just shit.
It's fun.
People don't like it because what Marvel is doing right now seems to be that they are actually making comic book movies, not action movies starring comic book characters. Because the Marvels and Ant-Man and those were fucking comic books.
They were comic book as fuck.
And that seems to be what people don't like about them.
Well, you know, there's
Marvels
that.
Also because there's a woman, and how dare she have breasts?
People hate Brie Larson because she said something that wasn't pro-man at one point.
How dare she? Honestly,
it's cool to hate the MCU now.
It is a little cool to do that, which is fine.
It's super
whatever.
Cool. That's if you like the MCU, then you're a Disney shill. Like if you like Marvel movies, then you are sucking Disney's cock. That is fact. You can't enjoy these things anymore because they're all objectively bad.
Fair.
Let's see,
that's fine.
There was another one too. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons people hate these things, and granted, some of them haven't been as good as the older MCU projects.
Sure.
And as we all know, if something is less good than something else, then it's garbage. It is 0 out of 10 filth that everyone should be ashamed of, because hyperbole is the single greatest thing in the history of the universe.
It is. So, I mean, if you really think about it, though, Chris, there have been just movies, not counting the TV shows, certainly not counting the Netflix shit that is now canon, or the Fox shit that is now maybe canon. We'll see what happens with Deadpool, because, yes, we all hate the MCU, except for Deadpool. We all fucking love Deadpool. We're still going to go see that one.
All that other
Deadpool's
stuff
still cool.
is canon adjacent, which is what I hate about multiverse stuff.
Sure. But if we discount all of that, since 2007, there have been 33 movies that have been released. And how very dare they not have every single one of those, just like every other studio. No other studio releases a bad film, Chris. Or even an okay film. Every other studio releases nothing but fucking cinema.
Especially
each and every
DC, time. Everything Zack Snyder does, the DC
nothing
movies,
has been bad. Nothing has been bad. They've put out 33 fucking movies, man. Like, there's going to be a couple that you watch that are like the Eternals, and you go, that was all right. That was fine. It wasn't horrible. It was like Thor: The Dark World. Like, yeah, it was cool. Feels like a waste to Christopher Eccleston, but that's just me. You know, it was fine. They're not all going to be the fucking Infinity War. It's just Marvel's was fucking great. It was great. I could not, for the life of me, as we watched that movie, figure out what people could legitimately be upset with in that movie. Trying to be as as
similar to a lot of the
subjective in my
negative
viewing as
reviews.
possible.
Because I've seen a lot of negative reviews about the new Avatar show, and
Okay.
I'm not
The
saying that
Netflix
it's
vehicle?
perfect. Yeah, the Netflix thing.
Yeah.
I only watched the first episode. It is definitely not perfect, but I rather enjoyed it. But some of the reviews that I read seemed like they were written before, like they were just written by people who couldn't wait to trash this thing. Like there were sentiments
That's
being
fair.
expressed in there saying that it was worse than the Shyamalan movie. Like, okay, you haven't seen this. You were just waiting for this to release so that you could say you hated it because
You had this written months ago.
yeah, you were ready to hate this from the get go.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, people
That's a
are weird.
It's a weird way to be. I don't know if you want to dovetail that into this YouTube video that I shared, or if you want to.
Now we'll talk that in week old news.
Okay. It's just I found it very, very odd. If you are the type of person that can watch literally anything at this point that stars Iman Vellani, the girl who plays Miss Marvel, if you can watch her and take away anything other than joy, I seriously feel bad for you. That kid is pure joy. She is having the fucking time of her life, man. It's just
she's marvelous. I can't wait for whatever's happening with her. Like when she met up with the Hawkeye at the end.
Oh my god, it was so good. Spoilers. I'm
like,
but
yeah, I'm very interested in watching these two together because she was also great.
You didn't think you were the only kid superhero, did you? I was so fucking good, man. Like, and she's just got this fucking smile. Like, she gets that she is in a comic book movie, and this is just fucking fun. Like, this
and
is
like
just,
I heard
fun.
One of the complaints I heard about the movie was that it didn't seem like it was building toward anything. Like, who the fuck cares?
Then you didn't watch anything. I mean, one, it was, but two, even if it doesn't, you're right. It doesn't have to.
Not every movie needs to be building towards. It could all be building towards something in a subtle way. You know, it could just be something small.
Spoilers. The fucking ending credits scene of that movie was Iman Vellani talking to Haley Steinfeld about forming the Young Avengers. So that's building something. And then the post-credit scene or the mid-credit scene, fucking, she wakes up in the X-Men cartoon universe. Is what we assume.
Yeah, that's
or some sort of weird amalgamation of the film.
Because it's like they mention Charles, but it's Kelsey Grammer doing Beast. So like,
but he's in the white lab coat.
Right. It looks like the cartoon.
It looks like it's supposed to look like the cartoon, but also the movies. Like, I really think when they cross them over and we get the X-Men in the MCU, I don't think it's going to be the Fox X-Men characters. Because, there's just no way that they're going to, like, give up on all the stories that they could retell. I also don't think, like, I've seen rumors out there that people are saying, like, oh, well, it's going to be the X-Men cartoon universe. Those are going to be the X-Men that we get in the MCU. And I also don't think it's going to be that because they've already done all of the big stories and Charles is fucking dead. So, like, I don't think... I think it'll be some weird amalgamation where they'll pick and choose some X-Men, but, like, they're going to cast their own Wolverine. It's not going to be Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
like,
they want somebody who's going to be around for a long time. And they already started this whole mutants just starting to appear thing with Iman Vellani and Ms. Marvel. Like, there was she's a mutant, not an inhuman in this. So, like, they're building. I really hope they're not going to do anything as far as, like, pulling X-Men characters from another universe. I hope they build it organically and we get all the good stuff. Like, wouldn't it be great if we started with, like, the original team plus Ms. Marvel, right? Like, if those were the original sets of mutants we got, you know, Beast
I
and
really
Cyclops
hope so.
and Jean Grey, and, like, I want it.
I hate those X-Men movies so much. I really do. I understand people love them. I just don't think They're very good. And I really wanted to love that. I really did. Like, I tried really hard. I like a lot of X-Men too. And here's the thing about me. I enjoy X-Men 3 the most out of those 3 Fox X-Men movies. I know. It's objectively a bad movie with a bad script.
Horrible.
It's bad.
What do you
I
like
enjoy
about that
it.
movie?
It's not the first 2.
Oof.
And the first 2 are so serious and stunted, and I don't feel like the characters are right. I don't feel like the actors were right for the character. I fucking hate those movies. I hate them. I know that I'm way in the minority on that. I really, really do.
I mean, they're not great. It's not like, I love that first X-Men movie because superhero movies they weren't great. Like we were coming out of the Joel Schumacher Batman movies and that was nothing. And then X-Men happened and
was so good.
Yeah, but Spider-Man was after X-Men.
I know. But
like X-Men came out and was like, oh wait, you can actually do this and make it a good movie? That's awesome. You go back to it now and it's like, wow, yeah, there's some things, but then on the other hand, you get wonderful moments in that first X-Men movie.
You're a dick. That one was pretty good.
When they call you Wheels. and one of my favorites, just because it's such an absurd line, certainly is a big round room. Fucking love that line.
I think it's a bad script. Like, for example,
bite your tongue, sir. As a Metal Gear fan, you are going to besmirch poor David Hayter's work. How dare you?
I am. I don't think it's a good script.
Solid Snake's going to come and smack you around, sir.
I hope so. Please sign me up. I would pay for that. I don't think if you put Halle Berry in Famke Janssen's role as Jean Grey, and Jean Grey, I'm not ignoring the color thing for right now, just for the purposes of this exercise, the 2 actresses, if they switched roles, I don't think the characters are any different at all, the way that they are depicted in the movie. They're virtually the same person. There's so little actual acting happening. Like, they're just kind of there saying their lines, and that's kind of it. Whereas, even though I don't love the X-Men cartoon, if you look at the X-Men cartoon, Rogue and Jean Grey and Storm and Jubilee could not be any more different as characters. And if you watch the movie, Jean Grey and Storm, they're basically the same person in that movie. Because it's a bad script.
I don't know that I agree with that. I mean,
Storm. I don't think you've seen it in a while.
Storm's a big nothing burger, like in the X-Men movies. But
which
I like
really pisses
Jean.
me off.
Yeah, that's obnoxious. Storm was done. She was done dirty in those movies for sure. But Famke Janssen. My only issue with her was just they didn't really get any. I didn't get any chemistry between her and Scott.
No, I didn't see any of that either.
I liked her.
There was as much
portrayal
chemistry between her and Scott as there was Halle Berry and Scott.
Because Halle Berry was just. I'm not a big Halle Berry fan in that movie. I think she did a shit job. Her African accent in the first movie was atrocious, and then she just didn't do it for the sequel. She's like, I don't have an accent anymore. Fuck continuity.
I'm just not a Halle Berry fan. I never have been. I've never really understood the Halle Berry is this amazing actress thing.
I mean, I've not seen much of her work, so I can't really properly comment on it. But I mean, I thought Famke Janssen and Hugh Jackman had pretty solid chemistry, and I like their interactions. Like, what can you do? I can move things with my mind, kinds of things. And then she closed the door behind her, all kinds of things. Like I liked her.
I don't know.
I thought that was good, and I liked a lot of I liked a lot of the character interactions. I loved Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart together. Like, I loved those two. I thought they were great.
They were great. They are great. They're too old. They were too old when they started. It was too old.
Well, it was it's a different take on the characters, and I was fine with that. Yes, I would have liked them both to be a lot younger, but at the same time, I fucking love their interactions. And man, at X-Men 2, like when Pyro goes bad and, what's your real name, John? Does they say you're the bad guy? Is that what they say? Fucking love it. Fucking love it.
The best fucking part of that movie, the Nightcrawler shit when he's bouncing around the office, that's pretty fucking dope.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And is that iron in your blood? Like, that was pretty good.
Oh my god, that whole
I don't know.
Never trust a beautiful woman, Mr. Lorio, especially if she's interested in you. God, gross. He's so good. I fucking love him.
I kind of like the absurdity of X-Men 3 over the rest of them, because it's just so over the top bananas. It's not a good movie. Honestly, I think First Class is the best they've ever done.
First Class
I
is
thought
pretty
that
cool.
movie was legitimately very good. Michael Fassbender as Magneto, I thought was... But that's what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Like, if you watch Michael Fassbender as Magneto, and you see what he brings to that character, and then you watch Famke Janssen and Halle Berry, or fucking dude who played Cyclops or whatever, like they didn't do that to those characters.
No, they didn't.
They could have been literally anybody else, and you wouldn't have. They could have been nobodies, and it wouldn't have mattered. And that just kind of bothers me. Tobey Maguire later
fair,
as
but we're talking
Spider-Man
about
was so
making. We're talking about making
so
an ensemble superhero movie when making superhero movies was a bad idea.
Sure,
it was a genuinely bad idea, and it's a super flawed movie, but I can appreciate it for what it is. And I really thought the Rogue storyline was interesting. That she wasn't super powered Rogue, she was just depowered Rogue, and I liked that take on the character. And I thought Anna Paquin did a good job. And
yeah, she was fine. I just, I don't know. I don't like them. I hope they do something
that's
cool.
Fair.
I want to like them.
The thing.
I do.
They're not going to do the same approach for the MCU. They're just absolutely not going to do that. And that universe became such a fucking disaster. No, because that doesn't match anything the MCU has done. The MCU has been so much more colorful since day one. Even Iron Man, which is like really not as comic booky as the rest of the movies were, because they were just starting it out. They were figuring their shit out. They're figuring out their vibe. But X-Men, like, that thing changed so much from iteration to iteration, and they kept trying to say it was all in continuity with one another, and it's like, this doesn't make a shit bit of sense.
No.
This is all bad. This is just all bad.
It's that line from fucking Deadpool when Colossus is dragging him down the street. He's McAvoy or Stewart. These fucking timelines are so confusing.
You love it. I love it. And that those movies deserve to be lampooned. But like, it's just like those Fantastic Four movies, the Chris Evans Fantastic Four movies.
So bad.
Yep, they're entertaining. They're not good movies, but I'm somewhat entertained by those.
As we continue down this path of our movie podcast here, Stone Age Gamer Movie Podcast, apparently, what do you think about the rumors that Anna Taylor-Joy is up for the role of Silver Surfer?
It seems like an unnecessary change to me.
That was kind of how I felt.
Like,
I'm not
opposed
to it. I just
I'm not opposed
think
to it
she's
either. It's just
she's better actress that could be used in a more significant role. She already was Magic. I actually like that New Mutants movie quite a bit. I think that movie gets shit on way harder than it should. But she had Lockheed for some reason instead of Kitty Pryde, which was a choice. It seems weird, right? Like, it seems weird to waste Anna Taylor-Joy on a motion-captured character.
Yeah, it just seems like you don't need to gender bend just for the sake of it. And I feel like Norrin Radd is just such a beloved character.
It's just,
you know, like
how absurd. He's the Silver Surfer, and his last name is Rad.
Yeah. It's fucking ridiculous.
Christ. What are we doing?
People love that character. And
I adore the Silver Surfer.
I feel like it's just asking for it. So like, this is just like, well, what can we do to piss the fandom off? Like,
yeah.
Okay, I'm all for equality, but like there are some things like why not just tell the story you're telling? You know, like Iron Man was good. It's okay to just leave. It's okay to just tell the story as it was in the comic book. It's okay to just have this character be what the character everyone likes is. Like I feel like gender bending Silver Surfer. It just seems senseless to me. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Like I said, it seems like a waste of Anna Taylor-Joy's talent.
I agree.
Because, like, she is fine as a voice actress, but, like, she was just Princess Peach. Like, you're just going to have Princess Peach. Like, if you want to, you're casting a voice. So for that character, cast a fucking voice actress. It could be a girl. I don't care about that part. It just seems like a weird. Anna Taylor-Joy seems like a name for the sake of a name.
Just get Lawrence Fishburne back. He did great in Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Sure, he's not doing anything. Although maybe he is. Isn't he fucking?
He's technically Giant Man.
He's Bill Foster. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can come back. We'll see that. I don't know. As an aside, for anybody who's still listening to the movie podcast, waiting for us to get back at video games, Silver Surfer by Dan Slott and Mike Allred is one of the finest comic books you will ever read. It is better than Doctor Who at being Doctor Who in this like really weird way. It's so incredibly good. It's so great. Please read it. It's brilliant.
Well, get things back on track.
Anyway, sorry. That was just a thing. So the dog's quiet place.
I want to say out loud that I have not forgotten about the Super Nintendo versus Game Boy Advance conversation. It will be on the schedule soon, just letting everyone know.
That's right.
That's the thing we're going to do. That's a conversation we're going to have. So did you actually play anything? You just watched Miss Marvel and had a bunch of dogs all over your house?
Watched the Marvels, played through some more Uncharted.
Right.
Puzzle and Dragons just had its fucking 12th anniversary in Japan, which is just an absurd. That is just an absolutely absurd thing. That I am still playing that game every day, still logging on in a Japanese account and a North American account. It continues to baffle me. I don't play it nearly to the level that I used to. But like I will go in spurts now of like, oh, I want to clear a bunch of stuff. I just got some new cards or whatever. And same thing with Marvel Snap. I've had like a really difficult time because I just haven't had time to sit down and devote to it. But I did get some of the new cards. I've complained about the new system plenty over these past couple of months, but for the last 2 weeks I had one spotlight key and I used it each time and got the brand new card each time. So like the luck does swing one way or another. It's just still ultimately, in my opinion, I think it just still feels like a bad system overall. I did spend a little bit of time trying to get the MSX emulated on my computer, which is not nearly as simple as emulating everything else. So I got to spend some more time with that because I tried to play through Karate Kid, since that is the game we have coming up. And, man, it just really needs a jump button. The NES just really needed a third button, and it would have been fine. That game would be... Oh, we'll fucking talk about it later. It would be so much better with a jump button. Anyway, I didn't beat it. I didn't beat it. I got to fucking work at it now.
Which one again? I missed...
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid. Oh.
Yeah, because we're playing it for the fucking Super Series. And I was like, all right, let me get on this early, see like how hard this is, because it's not as hard as everybody makes it out to be.
I can't believe
I know.
I can't believe you're playing it already. That's why I kind of like.
Well, I just wanted to jump
like,
into it.
Wait,
you know,
he didn't. This is okay. All right. I'm gonna play it the day we record.
No, I know. But I wanted to play through and make sure, because I didn't finish Jersey Devil, and I like to finish these games when we talk about them. I like to at least try to finish these, but I know like Karate Kid has some fucking jank to it, and the jank got me, so I gotta get good at it again. So, but while I was doing that, I was like, I would like to play the MSX Metal Gears. I'm not going to run out and buy the collection right now, though. Let me see if I can emulate it. Not as easy to emulate as everything else. So,
right, MSX is
there's some issues
things
there.
You don't really see around all that often.
There's plenty of emulators out there, but you need like BIOS files, and there's just different. I just didn't take the time to figure it out. It's not complicated. It was just more than the front end that I use on my computer is Launchbox, and when you add your legally obtained ROM files to Launchbox, it automatically, it'll be like, oh, if you use RetroArch as your emulator software here, it'll automatically set everything up for you. So like when I put my legally obtained NES ROMs on here, I just clicked a button, RetroArch popped up, I clicked another button, and everything was good. It was ready to play. I have my Retro Fighters PlayStation controller, the Defender, which is really fucking excellent controller. I really do honestly love this controller. It's very, very comfortable. It feels very similar. You've played with one, right? The Retro Fighters Defender. Does it? Am I crazy in saying that it feels like a maybe a Wii U Pro controller? Like it's kind of got that kind of shape to me, or
its shape, yeah. I remember
it doesn't have like
the D-pad on that one, but on the Defender,
it's not bad. I don't mind it, honestly. Like for what I've used it for, I think it's a really, really solid controller that you can find now on the StoneAgeGamer.com. Please buy our stuff. But like, yeah, I click a button and it puts it in there, and as soon as I turn on my controller, it's ready to go. Which is awesome, and it's done that with TurboGrafx and Genesis and DS and N64, which you still got to go and finagle a little bit just because of the wonkiness of that controller. Atari, all of those different things, it kind of has everything just set right up. With the MSX, it was like, oh, hey, we need some other shit. You got to go find this other shit. And I was like, oh, I don't have time to go find that other shit right now. I'll find it later. So,
yeah, that is my understanding. It's not I know very little about emulating MSX, but I remember attempting to look into it a long time ago and being like, well, this isn't simple as push button play game. I'm out.
Right.
Because that's as far as my brain goes.
There's so much on the MSX and the MSX2, like that you and I in particular, but like a lot of us here, have just never played.
Yeah, there's stuff on there I really like to mess with. I would love to try and see how far I could get in the Haunted Castle. I would love to try Treasure of Luchas. Like, I love that game's soundtrack. I'd love to play the game that goes with it. But alas, here we are.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff that I'd like to check out.
It's not an option yet. Maybe it will be. Konami's doing all kinds of shit.
They really are.
I mean, the new stuff I've concerns about, but the old stuff that they're just re-releasing, well, let's keep doing that, guys. Keep it up.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at. Where are you at?
Let's see. I'm still playing Metal Gear Solid. I'm at I fucked up the torture thing last night. I forgot. I forgot how to do it. Like I was, all right, I've been tortured twice now. What do I do? And then I I gave up because I didn't feel like mashing the button again. And then I was like, wait a second. There's a consequence for giving up, isn't there? And then I looked it up. It's like, oh, Meryl dies in the end if you give up during the torture. Well, fuck that. So I just went back to a previous save file and started it over again. But that's where I'm at with the torture. So I'm what, a little more than 3/4 of the way through the game, I think. I'm coming up on the end. I finished Advance Wars.
Nice.
The last battle, I figured it out. I think I got like a D rank or something like that.
But did you finish it?
I did. It took me hours.
That's all that matters.
It took me hours. But like there came a certain point where it's like, I think I'm going to win this. And then there came a point where it's like, I think I've made it back into a stalemate again, son of a bitch. And then I kept playing for a little bit longer. I was like, no, I think I'm going to make this. I think I'm going to get through. I think I'm actually going to be able to defeat all of his stuff. And then it took me, I really can't remember. It must have been at least 2 to 3 hours to get through that last fight against Sturm on fucking casual, easy ass mode. Cause I am just not good at this game, but I did it. I have not even thought about touching Advance Wars 2 yet. It's on my list. I'll get to it just like I got back to the first game, but I need a break. I need a break.
I love that you got through it though. Like that makes me so happy. And the fact that you enjoyed it, like that
great.
Just brings me joy.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I'm super happy about it. I got the Katamari soundtrack on vinyl. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I did play the Contra demo.
Right. We'll talk about that in week old news.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. I forgot about that. Sorry.
I got the Katamari soundtrack on vinyl as a gift. And I fucking love it. It's wonderful, and I'm super thankful that I was able to get my hands on that. And that's kind of it. That's really all I've been doing. Just trying to work on Metal Gear. I spent a decent amount of time on stuff that we're going to talk about in week old news, but outside of that, it's just been, still playing clubhouse games with Karen most nights and just getting fucking wrecked because I'm a moron. Like the luck games, it's a good time. Like the Yahtzee or Yacht Dice, sorry, and stuff like War. Like, sure, I can do that, but like any of the logic stuff, I'm just so fucking stupid, and I don't understand. I can't figure out why I'm losing because she's not trying. She's not planning ahead. She's just like pushing buttons. Like, okay, I'll go here. Okay, she's not thinking anything about it. But like, we'll play Othello. And
that's why you're losing
brutally in Othello every time. Last time we played, I got 3 out of the 4 corners, and she still fucking wrecked me. Like, mathematically, how does this happen?
That's impressive.
That's not possible. How is this happening? But we're still having a good time with that. And we are, I think a day or two after we recorded this episode, we'll be about a month away from Hatch Tales.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, because not a fucking word. Since they did the release date, not a fucking word. And I even joined their Discord today because I was poking around the Kickstarter. I was like, wait, isn't Hatch Tales pretty soon? And then I went over there, like, yeah, there's been a handful of other people like asking, can we get like a screenshot? Can we get something? Anything?
Nope.
The release date's coming. And because I was reminded of it because Jules posted something on Twitter, and I was like, well, this is not Hatch Tales related. That's got to be coming soon. And then I saw somebody, a couple of folks in the on the Kickstarter page saying that they got information out of the Discord. I'm like, okay, I'll join the Atui Discord and see what's happening. And it's just as full of people being like, you gonna say something about this game at some point? Like, you gonna do something? Like, there's obviously channels that are just like, yay, Jules is the best, and isn't this grand? But there's a pretty decent section of people in there being like, yo, what the fuck? Like,
stop being a dick, you dick.
And like one of the people who works at Atui, like who does a bunch of stuff on the Discord, chimed in and said, like, they don't see a big difference in sales between whether they over promote something or they don't promote it at all. I'm like, okay, but like,
I suppose that makes sense though. Like, you're such a niche developer.
For the Kickstarter folks, huh?
Yeah.
How about a little something for us?
Hook us up with a little something.
A couple screenshots to let us know that this big blowout you did in fucking September is not a word since September. We're in fucking February now. He hasn't said thing one about Hatch Tales since September. Fucking dick. I unfortunately haven't played any more of Mr. Run and Jump on VCS. I've been really busy. I've been struggling with the script for the next Mario video. It has been challenging because I'm trying to piece together like how to tell this story of Mario Land leading up to Mario 3 now, right? And Mario Land and Mario 3 were both, as far as I can tell, I haven't read every word in every issue of Nintendo Power, but I've gone through all the issues that were coming out around that time. And as far as I can tell, issue 6 was the first time both those games were mentioned and in the same issue, but they were mentioned with like nothing at all. It was in the second to last page of issue 6, way on the bottom, underneath like on this like new tech page, right? They had like the U-Force, and then underneath it, down on the bottom, there's a little tiny blurb about Game Boy. And in the blurb, there was a list of games, and Super Mario Land was written in there. Like, no information about what that is, just Super Mario Land for Game Boy. You don't really know what any of this stuff is. And then on the next page, it says, coming soon, Super Mario Brothers 3, that you can fly with a raccoon tail in this game. Like, what? What?
Huh?
Now, I know Super Mario Brothers 3 doesn't actually come out in North America until 1989, but what I'm trying to piece together right now is, like, I have to tell the story of how those were both announced super casually in this issue of Nintendo Power.
Right.
And then Mario 3's, like, promotion leading up to its launch was pretty exciting with, they had all this extra time because it was already out in Japan. But there was the chip shortage happening in North America, so they had this extra time to kind of like build up the game, and that's when the Wizard happened. That's when the Super Mario Brothers Super Show happened. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in 1988 that's not Nintendo releasing games. But they also had Game Boy, right? Because there's this whole dearth of first party. 1988's got almost nothing first party for NES, right? You know, Super Mario Brothers 2. And Zelda 2 are out, but they're not on store shelves because of the chip shortage. And in Japan, Nintendo they went whole hog on the Famicom Disk System before people started adding chips to cartridge games, which basically made that entire peripheral useless. So they had all this time where they weren't developing any cartridge games, and any other cartridge games that they would want to bring over, we're talking like going back to early FDS games, which is like, well, by this point, games in North America those games would look ancient if you brought them out now. Like, as much as like Mysterious Murasami Castle is like awesome, you bring that out in 1988 and it's going to look really dated compared to the Castlevanias and Rygars and Mega Mans at the time, you know?
And that was just so incredibly important at that time of that.
Right.
This had to look newer, better, bigger, faster, whatever, as you were trying
even
to
their own Super
grow
Mario Brothers
the
2.
Industry. Yeah.
Yeah, like even their own Super Mario Brothers 2, their reskin Doki Doki Panic, that game looks amazing. So you're bringing out anything
incredible.
old. The only real thing that Nintendo brings out in 88 is Tetris. But the good news is one, they had third parties to fall back on. Third parties were doing incredible stuff in 1988.
Right.
And they also had the launch of the Game Boy. So, like, you know, that didn't eat into NES stuff. That was just, here's our own thing, and we're going to release the Game Boy. So you've got the trouble that I'm trying to run into is that issue of Nintendo Power that announced both of those things is listed as the, I want to say June-July issue, I think is what it is.
Okay.
And the Game Boy came out in, I'm pretty sure the Game Boy came out in July. Is that what I'm looking at? It was, Game Boy released in North America July 31st, 1989. So was it June, July, or July, August issue? Either one. This first mention of it in Nintendo Power lines up with just when the system came out, but that's not really how that works because the issues showed up in the mail before the months that were on them, if I remember correctly, but I can't find anything that says online when did this issue actually mail to people, because I'm trying to figure out what the buildup was to Super Mario Land, which there doesn't really seem to be much because they don't actually do a proper a proper blowout on Super Mario Land for another 2 issues, and this is when the issues the magazine's coming out bi-monthly. They do a Game Boy section in that issue, the next issue, and the next issue. And those first 2 issues with Game Boy are all about Tetris. Some about the hardware, and then everything's just Tetris, Tetris, Tetris. There's other games too. Here's pictures of them, but no real info on what they are. So,
but we know you're really here for Tetris.
Or whether or not you're here for Tetris, this is what we want you to be here for. And it was a brilliant strategy because it became a fucking global phenomenon. But I remember every kid who wanted a Game Boy wanted Super Mario Land. Like, that was the game to get because, most of the Game Boys came... Yeah, tennis, alleyway, like everyone had those games, but like the ones that people wanted was Super Mario Land.
Yeah, so that's fair.
It's a challenge. I'm having challenges keeping track of like how do I weave that into an interesting narrative of because this is as Super Mario Land is happening, this is also at the same time Super Mario Bros. 3 hype happens in North America, and the game's already out in Japan. But nobody in the States knows about that because the internet's not a thing. And nobody's importing stuff at this point, right? By and large, the public found out about Mario 3 in The Wizard. That's where a lot of the public found out that game even existed. And that's when they've got their first glimpse of it in motion. Even Nintendo Power didn't do a ton of Mario 3 coverage before The Wizard. So it's very interesting. And I'm struggling to keep track of how to make that script work because the way the game releases are timing out, the first game that I had to talk about in this episode was the fucking Nelsonic Game Watch, which is the most exciting thing to start with. But like it's a strange chunk, right? Because I mentioned the Super Mario Brothers have become the pack-in games, right? Because I can't not mention Mario Duck Hunt because that's just such a ubiquitous thing. Yeah. And then you go into the Super Mario Brothers Game Watch. And then in July '89, you have Super Mario Land. Then I'm going to go back and mention the Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach because I didn't mention that earlier because I'm doing this from the perspective of a North American audience, right? But I can't talk about the Super Mario Brothers Super Show without talking about back in 1986, there was an animated Super Mario Brothers movie, right? But I didn't mention that in my older one because I wasn't focusing on the Japan aspect of it. So I'm going to mention the Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach in preparation for talking about the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which was in September of 1989, and The Wizard was December 1989, and then Mario Brothers 3 happens in February 1990. And I kind of wanted to end on the Mario 3 Game Watch, probably not do much on it, because like I don't want to start the next episode with another fucking Game Watch, right? But it's also hard not to...
because you've just done that.
I've did that once, and I really don't want to do it again. Yeah, because it's just not the most exciting thing to kick things off with, especially because really after this, where's my fucking list of? I already broke down the episodes. Like, part 4 kicks off with the comic books from Valiant, and then right into Mario World.
Oh wow, those comic books were so wild too.
They were fucking weird, right? And then
they really fucking were.
That's gonna be part 4 is gonna be such a weird episode because it's comics in 1990 into Super Mario World, and then the Super Mario World Game Watch, the Nintendo Power comics, Super Mario Brothers pinball machines. Right, in 1992 had 2 different Super Mario Brothers pinball machines, which I believe was the first time Charles Martinet voiced the character. And then end that with Super Mario Land 2. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I feel like the 1992 pinball game was the first time Charles Martinet voiced the character. It could have been like Mario teaches typing or something. I might be crazy. But
what a fucking wild way to start your career as Mario, man. Like fucking
how did
Mario.
That stick around?
Yeah.
Bananas. And then after that we do this. Part 5 is going to be fucking weird because part 5 is like, here's a bunch of tertiary stuff that happened, like Hotel Mario, that is technically related to what we're talking about, right? I'm not covering every Mario game in existence, but everything that has anything to do with Mario Brothers, like that core concept. So it's like Mario All-Stars. But then I have to mention stuff like, I have to at least mention that Wario Land exists, right? Because we've covered Mario Land and Mario Land 2. Wario Land is technically Mario Land 3, even though it's the start of its own thing. Donkey Kong 94 doesn't fit in with this thing. It's part of the Donkey Kong franchise, but I have to mention it because Donkey Kong is where it started, you know? Mario's Tennis for Virtual Boy is the first Mario sports game, so I have to mention that. Yoshi's Island is Mario World 2, even though it's the start of the Yoshi franchise, so I have to mention that. Like, Part 5 is going to be so fucking weird. I don't want to start... So starting with the Mario 3 Game Watch in Part 4 seems wrong, but ending on the Mario 3 Game Watch seems anticlimactic to follow up Super Mario Bros. 3. So I have to find some way to weave that in with the Mario 3 conversation and then come back to, I guess, after I break down the Game Watch, kind of come back to how big Mario 3 was to kind of close out the episode. And because I don't think I'm going to talk about the individual cartoons that kind of built off of the Super Show. I think I'm going to stop with cartoons after talking about the Super Show, because like the point of this is supposed to be the games.
Right, not the cartoons, as much as you want to talk about the Wizard.
Well, the Wizard. I have to talk about the Wizard because that's such a huge part of the story of Super Mario Brothers 3 in North America. You know,
I'm just saying you're not going to
that.
You can't talk about it for as much as you would want to.
Right. No, I'm not going to break down the whole movie, or just going to be talking about the end of it. So, like, a lot of this stuff I'm just going to mention, but really then kind of keep the focus on things. But I don't think I don't think Part 4 is going to be hard to write. I think just this Part 3 is going to be the last one that's hard to write, because I think after this, things in America and Japan kind of line up with each other and get considerably more boring. Like, I'm looking at Part 7, which is just a fucking dearth of Mario games. It's the 4 Mario Advance games and Sunshine. Like, wow. Yeah, the Game Boy Advance era was both great and not so great for Mario.
It was both amazing and kind of meh.
Then I get to do Part 8, Super Mario 64 DS, New Super Mario Brothers, both Galaxy games, and New Super Mario Wii. Part 9, I get to move on to Mario 3D Land through 3D World with 2 different new Super Mario Brothers games in between. 10 is Mario Maker, Run, and Odyssey, and then 11 is everything up to Wonder, which is really quite a stack of games there. Mario Deluxe, New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, Mario Maker 2, 3D All Stars, Mario 35, which I'm still pissed doesn't exist, Bowser's Fury, and then Wonder. So at least it's going to end strong. A couple episodes there are going to be weird, but also easier to make, so that makes me happy.
Which is not nothing.
It's not nothing. I'm talking so much about how much I'm thinking about how to weave this script into something that makes sense and is interesting. And like after this episode, I think things just get a lot easier for me to write.
Yeah,
it's weird because I don't remember that era that well. You know, like I remember how I found about Mario 3. You know, as somebody who didn't have Nintendo Power, you know, I found out about Mario 3 from the Wizard. Yeah. And I'll never fucking forget that scene in the theater and how that made me feel, seeing that screen open up with Super Mario Brothers 3. Like, there's a Mario 3? What the fuck?
Oh my God.
Mind blowing.
I already loved this movie, but now it's just the best movie ever.
It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in the history of mankind. But that's December, and I remember seeing that movie, and then like a month later, my cousin had gotten the game like the day it came out. So in February of 1990, I'm at my cousin's house, and he has Super Mario Brothers 3, and I'm like, I'm playing it in his basement, like just mind fucking blown.
I was my friend Armand.
Really fascinating.
Every time I went to Armand's house, he had it was like his parents just went to fucking Toys R Us every week and were like, whatever's new, give it. Like, because it was just, man, there's so much I love about the modern world that we live in. Like I say it all the time, right? Like fucking more grid. You want to put a chip in me? Please. You mean I don't have to carry a wallet anymore? I can just bloop, thumb, done. Fucking sign me up. But the unexpected elation of going to a store and finding out that there was a thing you didn't even know existed, and then knowing that your life would be incomplete without it now, and getting that thing was just so fucking incredible. Like that level of joy is just not something we experience any longer. Going to the store and being like, there's a Ninja Gaiden 3? Fuck your mother. What are you talking about? I have to Castlevania 2? Surely this is going to be better than Castlevania 1. It's not going to be weird at all. This is going to be amazing. You know, like, and so much of that we deprive ourselves of it. Can you imagine if I think I've said this on the show before, but can you imagine if you're watching Captain America's Civil War and just out of nowhere it pops up Queens? Like, you didn't know Spider-Man was going to be making his MCU debut. All the trailers hadn't ruined it. You're just in the theater. You're shoveling popcorn down your big old face, loving every second of the movie. And then it just pops up on the screen, Queens. And if you know, there's no reason for them to be there otherwise. Like, that kind of organic thing. Like, we just don't experience that anymore as people. And that sucks. It sucks. We should go back to it.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We should shut off the internet.
Ruined everything. The internet ruined so much.
It really did. Shut it off. Turn it off, Chris. We're going to have to do this podcast in person on a fucking reel-to-reel. We'll mail out cassette tapes to people. It'll be great. That's how we'll grow this podcast.
On this week's episode a couple nights ago, and I was just like, fuck it, we're just going to do this on the radio.
Dude, I would love to fucking do a radio show. Maybe we'll try and do that over the summer or something like that. We'll do that'll be our summer series this year. We'll hop on like a pirate radio channel from like 7 to 8 at night or something like that. And we'll just do it for like a fucking week or whatever. We'll just jump on and bullshit for an hour. And then like we'll play a couple songs. We'll do it like a real radio station. It'd be great.
This sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm in. Sold.
Please flip the cassette over to side B to continue the adventure.